So our very first episode was with Dr. Sharon Vaughn and Dr. Jeannie Wanzik around adolescent literacy. And this has been a fabulous conversation. So much attention has been paid to elementary. And now more and more folks are saying, what about our secondary teachers, right? They need to understand about the science of reading, because even if they're teaching science or social studies or math, guess what? That's taught through reading. I think the statistic is about 85% of our curriculum is taught through reading. So I'm going to read this quote from Sharon, Dr. Sharon Vaughn, and it really was the first time I had thought about it, but the way she phrased it was so powerful. So I'm going to read this quote from her, and then we can come back and talk about it. But she said, I also think as students get older, we need to really think a lot more about how it is that we refine and define what all classroom teachers do to raise the literacy level. So rather than thinking, oh my gosh, what does the 40 or 45-minute intervention each day look like? Instead, what does every social studies class, science, English language arts, mathematics teacher need to do every day so that literacy enhancements are built into this content learning? And I think we know some things about that, she said, and we can do better about that. But I think as long as we sort of lean solely into intervention, these continue to be her words, solely into intervention solving the problem, and not enough into the combination of classrooms, if you will, content area classrooms practices plus intervention solving the problem, I think we are going to see and make inadequate progress. So that was a lot to share. So I want to break that apart a little bit. The first thing, and again, I've always thought about, one of the biggest challenges we hear from educators in the secondary space is we don't have enough time in the day. We know these students are far behind grade level, and it's going to take some intensity in order for them to respond, right? So she said so clearly, we need to shift our focus and not think about just reading intervention time, but it's literally throughout their day. And how do we weave these strategies into math, science, social studies, right? And until we embrace that combination versus solely putting all the onus on the intervention block, we're not going to see the progress that we would hope. And then sometimes teachers might give up and say it's not working, right? Because they're not seeing that adequate progress. So I thought that was such a fascinating lens to help us all shift our thinking, especially in middle school and high school, that we're all reading teachers. And we're not saying to abandon your content, right? Your math or your science. But on that episode, we talked about a little bit more about what are some of those strategies you can introduce for 5 or 10 minutes, right? Doing some explicit vocabulary instruction on words that might be really impactful in their learning about photosynthesis, say, perhaps, or doing some more scaffolded text reading in the class, or oral discussion about it, right? Listening comprehension, conversations with peers. So I encourage you, if you haven't listened to it, and certainly if you're a middle school or high school teacher, but also district folks, that our adolescent teachers need similar support in the science of reading and some strategies of how they can infuse that work throughout the student's day, right? And another big thing they focused on is thinking about also not only the reading components, but paying attention to mindset and executive function and things like that. So it's really a comprehensive approach that we need to be taking with our adolescent students. So it was a powerful kickoff to season 2.